What if I told you that the first woman to ever step into the world of Sri Lankan politics did so nearly a century ago, at a time when the very thought of a female leader was unthinkable? What if I told you that this woman didn't just enter politics, but she made history at every turn? She was the first female member of the State Council of Sri Lanka, formerly Ceylon. She was the first elected female legislator in the country, and she was also the first woman to hold the prestigious position of Deputy President of the Senate of Ceylon. Now imagine the odds she was up against. This was an era when politics was an iron fortress of men. Women weren't expected to speak up, let alone lead. Yet in 1931, she shattered expectations, defied convention, and stepped into a world that had never before made space for someone like her. She was not just a politician, she was a pioneer, a fighter, and a symbol of resilience for generations of women to come. Well, stay with me as I unravel the history of Lady Adeline Molamure, the first woman to enter politics in Sri Lanka. Her story begins on September 1st, 1890, in the distinguished Meedenia family, a household that shaped Sri Lanka's political and social landscape. Her father, John Henry Meedenia, was a respected legislator and native headman honored with the title of Adigar by the British, while her mother, Cornelia Magdalene Emily Senanayake, was the daughter of the esteemed Reverend Cornelius Senanayake, a revered scholar, Anglican priest, and landowner. But Lady Adeline wasn't just born into privilege, she was born into a legacy of leadership. Adeline grew up in stately mansions known as Walauas in Sinhala, including the Meedenia Walaua and Price Walaua. She in fact inherited the palatial Price Walaua upon the death of her father. Her family ties read like a who's who of Sri Lankan history, connected to political giants and influential figures. For example, she was related to the Ratwates, Ellavalas, and Wijesekeras. As a result, she was also related to Madam Siri Mao Bandaranayake, the world's first female prime minister who was born into the Ratwate clan. Her sister, Alice Gertrude Ruby Meedenia, married D.R. Wijewardene, the founder of the Lake House newspaper empire, and her brother, Joseph Hercules Meedenia, a Rate Mahatmaya, meaning native headman of Ratnapura, was the father of the legendary actress Irangani Sarah Singha, making Lady Adeline her aunt. Growing up under the strong Christian influence of her mother, Adeline was sent to Bishop's College, one of the premier girls' schools in Colombo, where she was educated largely by English, Irish, and Burgher teachers. Despite her Western education, she remained largely and deeply connected to her Kandyan roots and Buddhist traditions. At just 16 years old, she left school, and 6 years later, in 1912, at the age of 22, she married a young lawyer from Kegol named Alexandra Francis Molamure. Fate had grand plans for them. Francis would go on to become the first speaker of both the State Council and the Parliament of Ceylon. Together, they had one daughter, Sita Molamure, who would also carve her own place in politics, becoming a member of the Senate of Ceylon. Sita married L.J. Senaviratna, a civil servant and the secretary to the treasury. Lady Adeline was not just a devoted mother and wife, she had a strong sense of purpose. When her mother, Emily Meedenia, expressed a lifelong wish to visit the Holy Land, Adeline and her siblings made it happen. In fact, her mom Emily passed away in Jerusalem. Unlike most other women born into aristocracy in bygone Ceylon, Adeline was not content with the traditional role of women at the time. While women of high society were expected to manage households, host grand events, and engage in charity work, Adeline wanted more. She wanted to be a voice for the voiceless. Then came 1931, a turning point in history. The Donamo Constitution was introduced in Ceylon, bringing universal adult suffrage to a colony where only 4% of the population had previously had the right to vote. This groundbreaking change placed Ceylon at the forefront of imperial constitutional development, making it the first South Asian country to grant women the right to vote. Seizing this opportunity, Adeline took a bold step. She contested the elections for the State Council from Rwanvela, the very seat her father had once held, and she won. On November 14, 1931, she made history as the first woman to take a seat in the State Council of Ceylon, paving the way for future generations of women in politics. Her political journey didn't end there. In 1947, she was elected to the Senate. 2 years later, her husband, Francis, was knighted by King George VI, and he came to be called Sir Francis, while she became Lady Adeline Murray. In 1950, she had the honor of representing Ceylon alongside her husband at the opening of the new House of Commons by King George VI. That same year, she was awarded the Officer of the Order of the British Empire, OBE. But tragedy soon struck. In 1951, Sir Francis suffered a stroke while presiding over Parliament. He was rushed to the hospital but passed away the next day, leaving Adeline a widow. Despite personal loss and challenges, she remained steadfast in her political career. From 1948 to 54, she served as the president of the Women's Organization of the United National Party, UNP, further solidifying her role as a leader and advocate for women's rights. In 1953, she attended the Inter-Parliamentary Conference in Bern, where she spoke on the Indo-Ceylon Citizenship Act. In 1955, she was appointed Deputy President of the Senate, and that same year, she was honored by Queen Elizabeth II and made a Commander of the Order of the British Empire, CBE. After retiring from politics, Lady Adeline remained a tireless advocate for women's rights and was deeply involved in charitable causes. She lived a full and extraordinary life, passing away in 1977 at the age of 87. Lady Adeline Murray was more than just a politician. She was a trailblazer, a woman who defied the norms of her time to create a legacy that endures to this day. Her story is one that should never be forgotten. If her journey has sparked your curiosity, dive deeper into her legacy by checking out the sources and recommended readings in the description below. And if you have queries or wish to contact me, please reach via email at tuanzamewrites@gmail.com. Until next time, it is me, Zamir Karim, signing off, uncovering history one story at a time. Take care and God bless you all.